All right, YouTube. This Detroit's HPTV coming back at you with another video on this Monday afternoon. We still got to talk about the fires in California, and we got to talk about the fallout with the Democratic Party and the politics that's being played with the people's lives. Now, you have people saying there's a lot of disinformation or misinformation because the censorship is not working. You know, legacy media or what they call mainstream media is dying, you know, because the people can't trust them. They told you that when they was asking for the mayor in California to resign, it was misogynistic and it was racism. It wasn't the fact that the funds were mismanaged and the fire department was ill equipped to deal with the fires. It wasn't because of the governor. It wasn't because there are rich people called the Resnicks in California that own 60% of the water rights. They make Fiji water, wonder nuts and pomegranate and all type of things. And they have a stranglehold on the water. It couldn't have been that. It couldn't have been the fact that maybe Hollywood is under divine judgment, divine chastisement, because majority of the wickedness and the debauchery that comes out of this country, it comes out of Hollywood. Hollywood is always blaspheming and pushing the narrative that is anti-God and anti-country. So that while they pray for rain, they get stronger winds. The wind blows while they wait for rain. And they have to come out and they have to defend themselves and defend that party, the party that attempted to destroy the nuclear family, the party that kept our communities impoverished, the party of racial division, the party of inequity, the party of Jim Crow, the Dixiecrats, the party that upheld slavery and fought their own brothers and cousins to keep other people in bondage, the party that tried to push the Hindu lady on you like she was some black woman that was going to save you. Now, California is burning. Is it too soon to say that God is in control of everything? Could we move forward in this country with California still intact? With New York actually being a zoo? We have to think about these things. We have to think about what we were headed to. Transgendering of children, 8, 9, and toddlers. We have to think about open borders. We have to think about all these things that these people were trying to push at the American citizens. We have to think about this was a battle between good and evil. We have to think about, do we want to hear the truth? Do we want to be comfortable in our skin by ignoring that we were going against nature? We were going against God, the word, and everything else under this party's tutelage? No, we don't want to think about that. But we want to watch them say that to hold them accountable is some type of right-wing conspiracy. They said all kind of things like a Christian right. What is a Christian right? Is that somebody who tries to follow the word and the teachings of Christ without always improvising or making a concession as to what righteousness is and what a civil society looks like? It's time out. We're going to listen to Maxine Waters and Gary Newsom, and we're going to listen to these people come out and continually try to misinform the people, continue to try to act like what we see is not actually happening. How these politicians are getting richer and the communities are getting more and more poor, and devastation and floods and tornadoes are wreaking havoc in this country. Is this country under divine chastisement? Is this man made catastrophes or is it ordained? Are we living in a time of revelations? Because we keep finding more and more things out. Oprah Winfrey says she's going to leave the country before the 20th. But yet she was friends with Harvey Weinstein, Epstein, Diddy. She even took 2.5 million from Kamala Harris. And now she wants to pack up and flee the country. Why are these people fleeing the country? Oh, I get it. Orange man bad. When you see they have enriched themselves and the people have gotten poor and the wealth gap is widening. And now the closer it gets to the 20th, you got Joe Biden trying to sabotage the new incoming presidency. What's going on? Are we that brainwashed that we have Stockholm syndrome and we can't see that we was held hostage by a government that refused to address the common needs of the people? We have to answer these questions and we have to be honest with ourselves. You remember I told you before about Public Enemy. I want y'all to look at that song by Public Enemy called Burn Hollywood Burn. They want to save it. Have you noticed though that the communities where the poor people live is not on fire? These rich people who never cared about anything other than the narrative coming out of the Democratic Party, now they trying to see what it looks like to be devastated, and they crying because of these $1 million homes are being burnt. How these areas where they had $1 million homes didn't have fire hydrants that didn't work, had a reservoir that was empty, in these $1 million mansions? Why they can't get rain and they get stronger winds? Is this ordained? Is this politics? What is it? I guess you have to determine for yourself what you're seeing. But right now, I want you to check out this clip. It's from the Black Conservative Perspective over with Greg Foreman. And you're going to see Gary Newsom and Maxine Waters. And I'm going to react to this video. But I want you to listen to what you're hearing. And you decide for yourself what's going on in this country as we approach January 20th. This is for fair usage under the 1976 Copyright Act for commentary, educational purposes, and as always, the First Amendment. Check this out.
The office. We have a president of the United States that within 36 hours provided a major disaster declaration over a text. We had support from the president of the United States, Joe Biden, with 100% reimbursement, all the resources you could hope for or imagine, constant communication. I'd like to extend that to the president-elect. I don't know what he's referring to when he talks about the Delta smelt and reservoirs. The reservoirs are completely full. The state reservoirs here in Southern California, that mis and disinformation, I don't think advantages or aids any of us. Responding to Donald Trump's insults, we would spend another month. I'm very familiar with them. Every elected official that he disagrees with, very familiar with them.
We do know, though, from reporting here locally that that one reservoir that serves the Palisades was not full.
And that's exactly what triggered my desire to get the investigation to understand.
Wait a minute. After all that, what he just said, they told him that the reservoir by the Palisades wasn't full. So it's Trump's fault? But you just said Biden is the president and you're the governor? And you just had to admit when he pushed back that there was no water? Let's listen to some more.
What was happening with that local reservoir that was not a state system reservoir, which the president-elect was referring to as it relates to the Delta and somehow connecting the Delta smelt to this fire, which is inexcusable because it's inaccurate, also incomprehensible to anyone that understands water policy in the state.
What he keeps talking about, the Delta smelts, is they have a large reserve of water for the smelt industry. The smelt industry and protecting that lucrative business was more important than making sure there was water in the Palisades where human beings live. See, on the left, they want to talk about global warming and be tree huggers and uh, all these different things. But how much do they care about the citizens, people? You know, Gavin Newsom, he's trying to save his career, but totally, if there is a whole city where there's no water in California, and after what the fire chief said openly about how she was underfunded, and lacked manpower, and some of her fire trucks was broke, he still will not take accountability. None of these people on the left want to be accountable. It's always racism or misogyny when something goes bad and you hold them accountable. It's never mismanagement or misappropriation of funds. It's never that. It's always somebody else's fault. But these are the people that were voted in, that you trusted to make sure that you would have water.
Hey guys, so we got to talk about the LA wildfires that are still burning after several days, and Democrats are getting a whole lot of backlash and criticism over their mishandling of the situation. Now, we all know what the mainstream liberal media does when Democrats face backlash. Okay, they basically accuse anybody who is criticizing Democrats of spreading so-called misinformation slash disinformation. Okay, in fact, this is an article from the BBC, haha, BBC, that is titled fact checking criticism of California Democrats over fires. Okay, so now they're running full blown propaganda. Okay, they're fact checking anybody who criticizes the Democrats, right? Because they want to protect the Democrats at all costs. Okay, you cannot criticize Democrats because right now is not the time to engage in politics, according to Democrats and the mainstream liberal media, due to the fact that this is a disaster. Instead of this business about Democrats or Republicans, get the information up on the screens. Where can you go in Altadena? Where can you go in Pasadena? Where can you go in Malibu? Where can you go in the Palisades? Where can you go in San Fernando Valley? They don't know. They're looking for help, and that's what we should be dedicated to. I agree. And you too. We are doing it. We will continue to do it. I think you are right. However, it can also be seen that you don't want to talk about the politics because it's on your party, because the mayor and the governor are Democrats who are.
Oh, pushback on Maxine Waters, whose district has suffered the most in California. See, the Congressional Black Caucus has been gatekeepers, have been the biggest hindrance to community development in the communities that they claim to represent. These gatekeepers off the Democratic plantation have been selling us out for years. And now she don't want to talk politics. She don't want to talk politics. She don't want to be accountable for what's going on in California, the home of Kamala Harris and Newsom and all these other Dems who are so liberal that Hollywood has become the cesspool of the world. Let's listen to some more.
Arguably, should have had the people in Altadena better prepared for this. They should have the resources more available so they don't need me to put them up because the state has been doing the work. And that if they've been preparing the situations for wildfires like they were made aware of, instead of cutting deals with PG&E and insurance companies, they would have prepared the state. That is not unfair criticism. Is it too soon? Maybe, but the questions are real. Let me tell you something. I'm not in the business of protecting anybody. And I think that my work over the years that I've been involved have been absolutely on point in dealing what has to be dealt with in order to help the people. First thing you got to understand is services cost money. And we should be willing to get the richest people in this country, the richest 1% that is protected, make sure they pay their fair taxes so that we can have the money to provide the services. With that money and with those resources, the people who have been selected or elected to do the job should do the job. I don't care who it is. It could be Democrat, it could.
So it's rich people fault that the governor, the mayor, and the fire department didn't have the resources to do their job. Remember I told you they never accept accountability? It's rich people's fault now. It's everybody's fault but the government who were elected to provide these services to these people who have lost everything. And they still, she said she don't want to play politics. That was just politics. How can we even go forward with these people as elected officials in the Senate, in Congress, in positions of power, when as soon as something happens, they're on vacation, they're somewhere else, it's somebody else's fault, but they get richer while the masses of people get poorer and poorer. And that's why California is burning right now.
A Republican, it could be whatever. But the fact of the matter is, we all should have heavy hearts right now.
Yeah, so you see, now you hear that. It's not about Democrats or Republicans, they say, okay? Even though every single time there's a mass shooting or some type of natural disaster that they can blame on Republicans when Republican states are affected, the first thing that these people do, the mainstream media, the Democrats, that they point fingers at Republicans and say, well, it's their fault, right? You never, ever, ever hear Democrats come out and talk about how we shouldn't politicize a disaster when it makes Republicans look bad. Now all of a sudden, when it makes Democrats look bad, because people are rightfully blaming Democrats, now all of a sudden, oh no, you can't politicize that, right? It's not about Democrats and Republicans. No. Don't criticize us. You can't. Okay? This is what is happening, folks. Now, at the same time, you have some Hollyweird actors, like, for example, Miss Yannette Nicole Brown and Miss Kim Whitley. Most of you probably have never heard of these actresses, but these actresses are coming out and defending woke mayor Karen Bass from criticism, claiming that the criticisms of her are grounded in racism because you're not supposed to criticize a black woman who is clearly and obviously doing a bad job.
Let me tell you something. She's got a spine of steel.
Yes.
And she's also been a black woman in America a very long time. So none of this is new to her. We're mad.
Ain't that what they said about Kamala Harris? Ain't that what they said about Letitia James? Ain't that what they saying about Fannie Willis down there? Whenever they get criticized and something goes wrong, it's misogynistic men and it's racism, but it's never accountability. It's never accountability. This lady was on vacation. This lady didn't even know or never even address the fact that her fire department had broken trucks, 750 men and women unemployed or laid off from that department, and reservoirs were empty of water, fire hydrants didn't work, all while she was on vacation. And she should not be criticized because if you do, it's misogynistic and it's racism. See, this whole racism thing is used to divide people. That's all. Because if you poor, black, white, or Hispanic, these people will not address your concerns. So it seems more like classism or elitism or even capitalism. But they want you to focus on racism. Ignore those other isms. Please do.
Because we're tired of it. We're tired. We're mad for her. And we're going to stand. Listen, I don't know how you here, but I'm happy you're here. Because somebody needs to say.
To stand, behind her and support her. Because how she handling it, you can see it in her face. She stays calm. But think about this.
Support her, but her house is not burned down. Support her. She didn't lose everything. Support her while she was on vacation. Most of the time, the fires was burning people's homes. In a city she was elected to run, a city that made DEI a prerequisite in their hiring and firing. They want you to ignore that. Ignore all of that. Listen to some more.
The city to take care of. She does not have time to hear what these reporters
She is also not mayor of every municipality in California.
Yes.
There are people that are mad that she didn't fix the fires in Malibu. She's not the mayor of Malibu.
You're right.
What is she supposed to do in the city she's not the mayor of?
People don't understand.
And let me say this too. I can imagine how much it would hurt to see this happening in the city that she loves. That's first. So take away how it feels for people to attack her. She's heartbroken because this is happening in her city, a city that she loves.
And the people don't understand. They don't understand how large it is because a lot of people are sitting in other parts of the city. They're not in it. They're not in the fire. They're not in the smoke. They don't see. They're not there. They're watching TV. Why? And they want to blame someone. This is not the time to blame. It's time to get some resources. She has reached out far. We have planes coming in from other countries to help us. This is not the time. I need everybody to remain calm, be vigilant, support her leadership, support Karen Bass. That's all I can say. You cannot. This is not the time. Ooh, y'all done got me upset.
She's had a great response so far to the fires.
Absolutely a great. She has done what she's had to do. She's jumped in there, and she's got.
We have fires every year, and I don't remember in the 30 years almost that I've lived in LA, I've never seen.
They proving our point. They have fires every year. She's the mayor. She was on vacation. So she's closing the barn door after the horses have already gotten out. They defended her based on the fact they want to appeal to emotionalism. The Democrats will never learn. They will never learn. They can't see that the people who are suffering, not just because of Karen Bass, but against Gary Newsom, the governor. It's not just her. It's that party. The fire chief has already spoken and said how she was underfunded. They've already said how Gary Newsom cut over $100 million and directed those funds to immigrants. You are talking about, and you want us to say that it's okay that cities are underfunded while you direct all these funds to people who came to this country illegal? Listen to some more of this.
Everybody react like this to the mayor and blame one person for a natural disaster.
Yes.
I've never seen it. Now, what's different this time? Interesting, isn't
You
it?
said that. Amen, sister.
Yeah. So you see that, you heard that. Okay, these woke actresses are claiming that you're not supposed to place blame on the woke mayor. No. You cannot blame her because she's black, right? That's essentially the argument here. Okay, black people in leadership should not be criticized when they do a bad job, especially considering how there are concrete examples of what LA could have looked like if they actually had competent leadership. Like, for example, you have Mr. Rick Caruso, who's a billionaire developer, and at one point was the water commissioner. He saved his own shopping mall with private firefighters, right? So he hired his own private firefighters, and you would think that his experience being water commissioner actually helped him out when it comes to saving property. And I'm just saying that maybe, just maybe, if this guy who clearly has experience when it comes to dealing with water issues and also trying to prevent fires from burning down his properties, you would think that if this guy was mayor, I don't know, maybe there would have been a different outcome.
Oh, this is his own water trucks.
Yep.
Wow, everything on. Oh my gosh.
I've been going around the city talking to firefighters and talking to paramedics. I've been talking to residents, and there's a deep concern throughout this city that the paramedics and the firefighters are understaffed because their budget has not been restored from 15 years ago when it was cut back. We have fire stations throughout this city that aren't mobilized because they don't have the staffing to do it, and it's just wrong. My plan as mayor is simple. We are going to restore the budget to bring the staffing levels back, to give the residents of Los Angeles the service they pay for and deserve. And that's the only way a city can be a great city. We have to reprioritize our budget in this city to make sure that our residents are safe and they're protected. And we can't do that unless we have a fire department that is fully funded and fully staffed.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that. That was Rick Caruso sounding the alarm on the underfunding of the LA Fire Department 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Okay, talking about the need to have a fully staffed fire department. And
So are y'all hearing this? They knew that they had a problem 3 years ago. 3 years ago. 365 days times 3. They knew that they had these problems. Nobody addressed them, but we're not supposed to criticize or analyze or hold anybody accountable. If that's how it is in California, and that is the type of government that you voted for with your liberalism, then maybe it is divine judgment and a wake-up call for you guys out there.
and that this could be a problem. Again, the guy at one point was a water commissioner. He's a billionaire developer. I mean, to me, he seemed to be pretty qualified to be mayor, right? To be leading LA. Okay, he should have been the guy that won that election. But no. Abortion was more important, right? Abortion and making history was much more important. And look at the result of that. Okay, budget cuts to vital services, public services, and the money was funneled into crazy things that California likes to spend money on, like illegal immigrants and fixing homelessness, except they don't actually really get anybody off the streets, right? The homelessness problem actually gets worse. But hey, according to Democrats, there was nothing that they could do about it because this isn't the fault of the Democrats. This is not negligence or incompetence or anything like that. No. Actually, this is climate change, right? This is the fault of climate change. So therefore, you can't point the finger at Democrats.
California Governor Newsom's calling for an investigation into why some fire hydrants ran dry and also why a major reservoir that services the Pacific Palisades area was offline when the fires began. Based on what you saw when you were in the Los Angeles area, how much of a factor did these water supply issues play in hampering efforts to contain the fires?
You know, I'll defer to the experts in California about what they were using and what impact that had. I do know that there were so many fire starts at the same time and that it really did put a strain on the water system in the early hours and early days of this firefighting effort. But they know exactly what they had worked with, and the investigation, I'm sure, will show additional information. I think the biggest thing is to still focus on the fact that we still have fires to put out and that they're bringing in the resources necessary to help them do that.
A lot of Californians had their insurance canceled by private insurance companies, fire insurance. The industry in California was already in crisis before the fires. How worried are you that insurance providers are going to choose to flee California, as we've seen in other disaster-prone states such as Florida?
Are y'all hearing this? So the insurance companies canceled their insurance because over 3 years ago, they knew that the fire department was inadequate to protect against fires. So why insure a fire department? Insure people in a community that is prone to fires but doesn't have the adequate uh, municipalities to address the fires. The insurance companies say we're not throwing bad money after good. We're not throwing good money after bad. We're not going to insure them. They live in a powder keg. Who's going to insure you if you live in a powder keg?
But California taxpayers and actually American taxpayers are going to end up footing the bill here.
I'm always concerned about the fact that many of the insurance carriers are pulling out of the markets. You know, these types of catastrophic risks, these fire risks, they are increasing. You know, we're seeing the change coming from climate change, and we're seeing more significant severe weather events.
You just touched on something we're hearing from a lot of survivors of these fires, which is this idea that this is just the new world we're living in due to the climate crisis, extreme heats, prolonged droughts, hurricane force Santa Ana winds. All of that created the tinderbox fueling this catastrophe. Does the scale of devastation in Los Angeles indicate that we as a country are just simply not prepared for the realities of the climate crisis?
Well, I think what we have to do is look at what these new weather events are bringing, the severity that they're bringing, and think about what the future risk is going to continue to be. And as we have these tragedies, we also need to make sure that we're taking this as an opportunity to rebuild these communities in a way that's going to make them more resilient against these types of disasters.
Okay, so again, clearly, obviously, what we have here is mismanagement of resources, but you're not supposed to criticize the Democrats. Okay, you're not supposed to attack them. What you're actually supposed to do is you're supposed to criticize Elon Musk and Trump for criticizing the Democrats, which is essentially what Jen Psaki argued on MSNBC. Take a look.
And with these fires still burning, we are facing important questions about how to mitigate and prevent disasters like this in the future. The fact is, leaders will need to confront a very complicated and challenging reality moving forward. But right now, that is not exactly what is happening. Instead, Donald Trump and his allies are injecting half-truths, misinformation, and flat-out lies in some cases in order to score.
What are they lying about? So basically, what you're telling the American people and what you're saying is, don't listen to them. Don't listen to those people on the right. Don't listen to the conservatives. Listen to us. Keep following us off a cliff. Keep integrating into this burning building that Martin Luther King talked about. Don't listen to them. Listen to us. Ignore the catastrophe. Don't talk politics now. Really?
A version of political points, I suppose. We saw something similar play out just this past October in the aftermath of Hurricanes Helene and Milton, when Trump repeatedly lied about FEMA spending disaster relief funds on migrants, which didn't happen. Also baselessly claiming...
Really? It's about Trump. Was Trump out there lighting fires? I don't think so. So I'm really trying to figure out how the propaganda from the left is even helpful or useful at this point when they saying the same thing that they said the whole election that they lost with. Don't listen. Don't listen to them. It's misinformation. They're censoring everything coming from the conservative and the right because they don't want you to know the truth. The Democrats don't want you to know the truth. And they have the American people on that side where they rule with Stockholm syndrome.
That the Biden administration was absent and incompetent in delivering aid, despite what elected officials of both parties on the ground said. Those lies were then spread and amplified by the richest man in the world on the social media site that he owns. So I guess none of us should have been shocked this week when Elon Musk posted that the Los Angeles Fire Department prioritized DEI over saving lives and homes. That's an exact quote. That appeared to be a disgusting dig at the city's fire chief, Kristen Crowley, who has served in the department for decades, rising through the ranks to become the first female and LGBTQ fire chief in LA's history. Musk also...
What I tell you, if you criticize them, it's misogyny or it's racism. They put these DEI hires in positions of authority so that they could steal and manipulate, and then they can't be criticized because then you become the bad guy when you call them out on this. Allegedly.
Also amplified a post this week from conspiracy theorist Alex Jones. Yes, that guy is still around. Alex Jones wrote that Los Angeles fires are part of a larger globalist plot to wage economic warfare and deindustrialize the United States before triggering total collapse. I mean, not sure that guy's okay. Musk responded to that post by writing, "True. Yes, just to repeat here, that's just the richest man in the world and the best friend of the incoming president, confirming to his 200 million followers that he thinks the devastating wildfires are a part of a globalist plot." And so now we're back in this vicious cycle where Trump and his new bestie push lies about a natural disaster, and then right-wing media runs with them.
I'll say it out loud. They have no intention of putting out these fires. All these people
They're focused on pronouns, and fish you can't eat, and, scrubbing white people from the fire department.
DEI, as Elon Musk said, can actually mean DIE.
In the events like this, you sort of look, oh, is it on purpose? I can make all kinds of horrible theories up in my head, conspiracy theories and everything else, but it just seemed a little convenient that there was no water and and that the wind conditions were right and that there are people ready and willing and able to start fires. And are they commissioned to do so, or are they just acting on their own volition? I don't know.
That's a conspiracy theorist playing it all out on TV and nobody questioning him.
Yeah, so while the mainstream liberal media is worried about conspiracy theories from the right, Elon Musk is actually helping out, right? He's actually helping law enforcement. He's helping those who are trying to save lives in LA by providing Cybertrucks and Starlink terminals to the areas affected in LA without connectivity, right? So you have a man who the mainstream liberal media continues to criticize. They continue to smear over his free speech, actually doing the work. Now, what is Jen Psaki doing, right? What has she done to help out? Not a damn thing. But the person that she's criticizing actually is doing something, right? He actually is helping. And again, that's why I just find it hilarious how all these people want to come out and criticize Elon Musk and want to hate on Elon Musk. But yet he's out here doing stuff like that. He's actually being a positive contributor. He's actually doing something about the disaster, okay? They will rather blame Elon Musk, who is doing more than a lot of these Democrats are doing. I mean, Gavin Newsom, he's not doing anything except photo ops, right? That's what he's doing. He's going out there pointing at the fire, taking pictures, and then leaving. That's what he's doing. That's all he's doing, okay? The rest of Democrats useless, aren't doing anything, but Elon Musk actually is doing something, and they're criticizing him. They're pointing the finger at him. Well, he says mean things that we don't agree with, right? Again, our media should be ashamed of themselves. They really should be ashamed of themselves. They're embarrassing themselves every single day. They come out here, they cover for the Democrats. They defend the indefensible. So, hey, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a black.
I'm going to end on that note because he made a good point. They're defending the indefensible, criticizing the people who are addressing the catastrophe, where everybody else is doing photo ops, while they're bringing out these played out actresses and these other Hollywood weirdos. We dodged a bullet. We really dodged a bullet. A Kamala Walsh presidency would have been disastrous. Well, this is Detroit's HPTV coming to you out of Detroit. Support the channel, support the nonprofit Detroit's Black Thought and Act Collective. The Cash App is in the channel description. As always, salute to all patriots and keep your head on the swivel. Like, share, and subscribe. Peace.